Hey there, everybody. So we are at the Izhatwaawin studio in Red Bee, Minnesota, in Red Lake Nation. And I am Alexander Aman. And with us today, we have, introduce yourself, sir.
Floyd Buck Jourdain, Red Lake, Minnesota.
And who else is here?
My name is Courtney Barrett. I work with Lake Chemical Health.
So today, we're talking about the Spirit Run, which is something that is known in the Red Lake community. It's a run, and it's a way for the community to come together in a lot of different ways, and that's why we have Buck Jourdain here to talk a little bit about what is the Spirit Run and why be involved with something like that. So, Buck, can you tell us a little bit about the Spirit Run?
Yeah, well, what I know about it, started getting involved like back in the 90s. My nephew, Michael Fasthorse Jr., he lived with me at the time. He was going to school. And he went on this run. And they ran to the Mishkawison Treatment Center. And he was telling me about it afterwards. I did not participate in the inaugural, the first one. And he was all tired. He was gone for a few days. He'd come home, and it wasn't until later that I found out that there was just like a handful of people that went on the run. I know another one was my nephew Dan Smith, and I think Tom Barrett Jr. was just a little bitty guy at the time, and Tom Barrett Sr. was the one who took these youth on this run, and they ran to the Mishkawison Treatment Center. And I was talking to Tom about it after a while. I said, well, how did that come about? And apparently he was at this meeting over on the Fond du Lac Reservation. They have these meetings, and he was part of there was the pioneers of chemical dependency in Indian country, Giles Hart and, Adam Lucier and all of these guys, some of them, Elwyn Benton from the Mishkawison Treatment Center, Dennis Hisgun, we just lost a couple of years ago. There was, the list goes on. And so we're at this meeting, and Tom is like the young guy in the room, and they're talking about trying to get
Tom Barrett.
Tom Barrett Sr. And so they're trying to get the message out. They're saying, well, our message just doesn't seem to be getting out there to a larger audience. The combating alcohol and drug abuse and all of the accompanying pitfalls of such in Indian country. And they said, well, maybe we need to go out into the communities, a grassroots community, and do walks and runs and do this type of things, or we should walk to the Mishkawison Treatment Center. And then I think that's when someone said, well, maybe we should run there. They were thinking more about like in their immediate respective communities. And then somewhere someone got the bright idea of going to the treatment center, and Tom was the guy who brought it up. And so all these old guys, they were like, well, hey, you're nominated, and so he kind of became the guy. He was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said anything, but, now that I brought it up and they expect this of me, now I'm committed. So he grabbed a handful of youth, and they went. There was like less than 10 of them. Now there's like, sometimes there's 25 cars, dozens of runners, but it was just them. And they ran all the way to the treatment center, and I was like, it's like 200-mile run. And my nephew was telling me about this. I was like, man, that's long ways. And there was just you guys? And he said, yeah. He said, we just kept going and taking turns and that. Now, I thought that was pretty cool. So in a conversation with Tom Barrett later, he said, yeah, now we do it every year. And so I personally started running early on. My mother was, I grew up in a single-parent household, 7 kids, and my mom raised us, and she had experienced a couple of really bad car accidents where she lost friends in really bad car crashes. They were killed. Very traumatic for her. And so she would not drive. She said, no, I'm not driving. And so we grew up without a car. And whenever I had to go and get cigarettes for her or go to town, I lived out in Little Rock by the ball fields out there, so it's like 2.5 miles from the store. She'd say, go get me cigarettes, or go to your grandma's house and tell them that we need something, or we need them to come over here. And then she'd always say, hurry up, run. plus I didn't like walking down the road. Felt weird, people staring at you, and I wanted to hurry up and get over there as fast as I could. So I either had a bike, or I'd just run. I just didn't feel walking just took too long. So, and then in the 90s, I was already in sobriety for several years, and I was going through some rough patches in my life. And then started hear about these runs that they were having, and so I started to learn more about the eagle feathers, and the spiritual aspect of the run itself, and the healing part of that. The medicines that were involved, the cedar, the four sacred medicines. The tobacco and the cedar and the sage and the sweetgrass, and the eagle staffs that they were carrying. So it became more of a spiritual journey, as opposed to just health. I'd play basketball and stuff. I'd run and work out and do those kind of things. And that's all running really, either how to get over there as fast as I could, or else to stay in shape for playing ball and stuff like that. It sucks being out of shape when you're trying to play a basketball game, so. But the run just really, that's how it evolved for me. And I haven't been on every one, but several of them.
What was the first year of the run?
I think probably 97.
97.
I went on the first run, and I remember it was really weird. Might have even been earlier than 97. I remember going through Bemidji, and it's 100 degrees out, and Keith Lucier, who was another mentor of mine, we were riding. He said, "Hey, come and jump on with us." And I was like, "Okay." And so the run was going down 89 and through the city, or Bemidji, and they stopped at Pete's place. All the runners are tired, and they're eating sandwiches and everything, and it's like 100 degrees, and it was really, really hot. And I'd been running on my own, like 5 miles a day or so. I'd run, and Keith said, "Hey, you want to help us run this through town?" And I said, "Yeah, okay, all right, I'll do it." So I get out with these two young guys, and we have this eagle staff, and we take off from Pete's place. And it's like 4 miles from Pete's place to McDonald's, I think, or by Staymart or wherever, where Walmart's at now. So we take off, and we get like maybe a mile down the road, and one of the young guys says, "Oh, man, I need a drink." And he jumps in the van. And I didn't know that the van I got on, it was Keith Lusher was driving, and the tribal chairman at the time was Bobby Whitefeather. And he was the riding shotgun. And so I jumped on with those guys. I didn't know Keith jump on with us. So there I am running through Bemidji. And so I get like maybe 3 miles down the road. And then the other young guy, he goes, "Oh, man, I need a break." And he was carrying the staff. He hands me the staff. And then he jumps in the van. So I just keep going. And so I was running in the van. I could hear it behind me humming. And I was getting real thirsty, and I didn't have no water. And it was humid. I mean, it was like 90% humidity, so just losing a lot of fluids. And it was really, really hot. And so I kind of motioned back a couple of times. I was like, "Hey, water, water," and I was like, I don't know why they weren't giving me water, but I just kept running. And so there I am. I'm running past McDonald's. The next thing you know, we're over by where it turns south towards downtown. Still, nobody. I was thinking someone's going to be relieving me at any time. And nobody did. It's 100 degrees out. I could feel like starting to get dizzy kind of a little bit. And my left arm was starting to feel a little tingly. And nobody was giving me water. So I just kind of scaled it back a little bit. Because the whole point was to create awareness. And Bemidji, people were like, "What are these Indians doing?" They're honking at me. Every now and then someone would roll their window down, "Get off the road," or something like that. And I just kept going. And so it was really super hot, and I'm running, and I could hear the van behind me, and I looked back, and nobody was getting out. And I didn't even know that they were having this conversation inside the van. The chairman, Bobby Whitefeather, must have said to Keith, "Geez, it's really hot out there. That guy's been running he's been running a long time. You think somebody should relieve him?" And then Keith said, "He likes that shit." So I'm running. I go through downtown and going through Nymore and then where the old Cass Lake Highway turns off. And so I ran it up to there, but when I got there, there was people waiting there.
So
And then,
you didn't get no water that whole time?
no, not at all. And so I ran from Pete's place all the way to the, what used to be called a Yamaha Honda Sports Center or whatever. It goes towards all the way through Bemidji, and it's 100 degrees. And so at the end, I was like, they were like patting me. Oh, geez, you're strong. You're a good runner and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, guys, give me a drink of water, man. So that was the first year. And I just kept going because there's something about holding on to that Eagle staff. It's like I didn't want to disappoint the people. And then the other thing too is they said the reason why you're going to run through is because it's safer. We don't want the younger ones out there. There's traffic, there's cars. And then they also did say, well, hey, I don't know how this is going to go over in the city of Bemidji. We're affecting their lives, their timelines and all this and that. But they said just run down the road, run down the street.
But so when you're carrying the staff, like, what is that? Like, can you tell us like what is the significance of it? What is the significance to Red Lake? What's the significance to Ojibwe people?
Well, to all Indigenous people, because the teaching goes is that Megizi, our spirit messenger, there was a time when every species was given original instructions. Way to be. Now some people call them like the 7 grandfather teachings, and up on the wall here you see that. And there's teachings that go with everything. And the human beings or the Anishinaabe were wavering away from those teachings. And they quit doing the things that the Creator asked them and expected them to do as when they were placed on this earth. They became self-centered. They became cynical. And some of them, they saw like glamour, and they saw like they wanted to be warriors. They said, I want to be a warrior. I want to do the things that garner me recognition. And they started to speak badly of one another, and they started to treat the other species that were here, like indiscriminately killing animals and doing things like that. And the Creator didn't like that. He said everybody who was put here was given a responsibility and original instructions. The only one that is not following them is the Anishinaabe. The animals are still doing the things that they were supposed to do. And the other clans, when I speak of clans, I mean all of the species. And so maybe I should just start all over again, only this time without the Anishinaabe people. And so he was contemplating another great flood. And then starting all over again, only thing this time without the Anishinaabe. But Megizi, our spirit messenger, our brother, who flies around every day, we see him every day, just even today. And he heard of this. And he said, well, he told the Anishinaabe people, he said, I'm going to go to the Creator and ask the Creator to spare you. I don't agree with this. I don't know if you'll listen to me. And the Anishinaabe were scared. They were like, well, what did we, not all of us are messing up down here. And so Megizi said, I'm going to go to where the Creator lives, and I'm going to plead with the Creator, to spare the Anishinaabe. And all of their hopes hinged on Megizi, the bald eagle, going to the Creator and asking the Creator to forgive them and to spare them. And so they all watched him. And the reason why I know the story, because I hear elders talk about it, and they say, pass the story on. And so the eagle takes off, he flies, and he's just a little speck up in the sky. And all of the Anishinaabe are holding with bated breath. Oh no, he's going to pass away. Nothing can live up there. He's going to suffocate or freeze, or maybe he'll get burned by the sun. But he was gone, and they didn't know what was going on. And so finally the Megizi arrives at where the Creator's at, and he pleads with the Creator, please don't do this. Not all of them are that way. There's still some that are following the original instructions, and they still do the things that you want them to do. And they said, well, because you see them every day, you fly around, you see them, I trust in you and I respect you. So if you can report back to me at least, every day, and if there's even one Anishinaabe person down there that's still following the original instructions, then maybe they're not supposed to be perfect. Maybe we're supposed to have flaws, and we're supposed to make mistakes, and hopefully we can learn from them. So I'll grant you your wish. You can go back and tell the Anishinaabe people that I'm not going to do away with them. So the Anishinaabe are waiting, and someone says, look, and they see this little tiny speck. And they're looking, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and it was Magizi, and he's coming. And so he comes and he lands right in the middle of all of them. They all come around him, and they're awaiting the news, and he said, well, the Creator's going to spare you. But you have to make a concerted effort, to strive to follow the original instructions that the Creator has put down for the Anishinaabe people. He doesn't like it when you do the other things that you're doing. And so that's the reason why the teaching says that why the eagle feather is held in such high regard. When you have one, you take care of it. You don't just leave it in the car, or you don't, let it get, you have to feed it and feast it and smudge it and clean it, and because that represents our brother, our spirit messenger, Magizi, who saved the Anishinaabe people. So veterans get a eagle feather, and elders will give them out. Some people will get them and they get an Indian name, or maybe someone does something in their community, a good deed or something that's honorable. They're gifted with an eagle feather. If you find one somewhere, they say, well, hey, that was meant to be. It came to you. You don't go out and buy them or seek them, or hey, I need eagle feathers. You know where I can find some? They're supposed to come to you because they're a spiritual gift. And so when you have an eagle feather, then whether or not they have it on their headdress or their bustle, high honor. It's really you're lucky to possess one. So when these eagle staffs, then when you carry them, you're carrying a message. And it's not just, we're going to go run and we're going to do a photo op and be in a paper and we're going to do all this stuff. No, you're actually doing an actual ceremony. Some people will sundance. Some people will go to sweat lodges, or they'll go fasting, or they'll do different types of ceremonies. Running is a ceremony too. It's been around for thousands of years with our people. Just not only out of sheer necessity, to go to a neighboring community that's 75 miles away to go and send a message or whatever. People would sacrifice in that way too, and that's what a lot of these spiritual runs are. You're sacrificing of yourself. You're taking these medicines into the community. You're taking these eagle feathers into the community, and you're asking Magizi to send our prayers and our hopes and our dreams and of healing and to reinforce what we were supposed to be doing here. And we're also, we're praying for our relatives, for our families, for those who are sick and those who are out there struggling with addictions or maybe grief and loss because they've lost somebody due to, these unfortunate substances. And so, and there's a lot of good feelings, when you offer your tobacco and you grab onto the eagle feathers and then you run, you just feel different than if you're just like, well, I'm going to go do 3 miles today and I got a basketball tournament coming up in 2 weeks and I want to get my cardio up and strengthen my legs and feel good. No, it's like you don't even think about the fitness aspect of it. It's just like, this really feels good to hang on to this and run it. I'm running for a purpose and it really feels good. There's just something different about it. So those are the teachings that not only Tom Barrett Sr., but the youth and the elders passed on, And I think it's important to share that because that's what the run is about. It's about carrying on those traditions and those teachings and using those spiritual items and walking in a good way and running in a good, because it's, you don't have to be a long distance, I can run 100 miles or anything. Maybe you just come out and walk, or run for an hour on your lunch break. I can't come the whole thing, but I'll be there for the opening, and maybe I'll do a mile or maybe even a couple hundred yards because my legs aren't what they used to be. Some elders will come out, and some small children will come out just for a few feet, maybe. That's fine. Every step.
So Buck, as a runner, as yourself as a runner, do you feel that running in itself has the ability to help fight addiction?
Absolutely. Mind, body, spirit, emotion. If you let one section lack, then you're probably going to be a little weaker in that area. So we might reward ourselves by going out and having a steak and eating or gambling or whatever. We got to have some sort of enjoyment in our lives, and we got to have, But if we're looking holistically, as trying to just feel good and be strong overall as an individual, as a human being, just being in touch with our emotions, our spirituality, and our physical well-being is really important. So it doesn't have to be like you're a high-level athlete or anything. Even if you just walk up and down your driveway, or do a little jog, or maybe anything to get your biological makeup moving, get your heart moving, get the blood running through your system, and it's really good. It just feels good to do something. Just do something every now and then, and it really makes you feel good, and it contributes to your overall health.
So, you could answer this any way you want, but what kind of medicines do we see when we're out there on the run? Like, what kind of medicines are people using, or what kind of medicines are people finding?
Well, Akawea Sema, the first one is tobacco. That's the first medicine before anything else. So there's tobacco offerings, to everything. The first and foremost, the staff, we wash the staff down with cedar. Very powerful cleansing medicine that our people know of, and they use it for a variety of things. And so cedar, and then also other medicines. There's different descriptions and variations of sweetgrass, which is a woman's medicine, and sage. All of these have bring good feelings, and they also just make sure that we're pure in our thinking, and we're trying to do things in the right way. They help us stay focused. Because I remember several years ago, I was on one of the runs, and there was a youth who were throwing water out of the cars at each other, and they were, see a kid go by riding on the roof, and and then when you crow hop, your vehicles are spread out 0.3 of a mile from one another, and runners are waiting for the staffs to come, and you could see like guys like making off boxing in the middle of the road, and then Tom Barrett stopped. He goes, "Hey, we got to circle everybody up," he said. We got to refocus. So we got everybody together. We're going to meet up there at a rest stop, a couple miles up the road, and he got everybody back together. And then he said, "We need to focus," he said. "This evening we're going to have a feast. You guys can swim. You guys can do all those things. But right now, in the heart of the run, we're not saying don't have fun. This is a fun activity. But we also have to be very careful and look out for one another, because it's really one of the busiest highways in northern Minnesota. We're talking Highway 2, a lot of truck traffic and people going back and forth. And it's later in the week. People are heading to powwow and all this kind of stuff. So we really have to make sure that we're safe. So let's follow our safety protocols, and let's get back together and circle up and re-smudge again. And then we need to refocus. Let's stay focused. So and then along the way, you stop and you're waiting. The runners might be a mile away coming. And so you wander off into the ditch and you see like certain flowers and you see different plants and you might see animals and there's always different smells, things that you like. Yeah, what is that smell? You know, and so there's we bring our drums along. You might sing on side the road. So there's a lot of things that you experience along the way. You know, people tell each other stories, or people are posting the run on social media. So it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool things that go on, but you also do try to stay focused on those basic things. We're bringing a message, and we have to look out for one another, and we have to stay focused on what this run is about. And then plus it's fun too. So you got to temper one with the other. Just
Is there kind of like an inter-community, like an almost like a multi-community aspect to this? Like so as the run moves from Red Lake to the next community, what aspects of inter-community like togetherness is there?
well, we all have commonalities. We have this epidemic that's wreaking havoc on White Earth, Leech Lake, Red Lake, Fond du Lac. It doesn't discriminate. It's a global phenomenon. It doesn't matter how rich you, how poor you are, whether or not you're, what race you are. It does not discriminate. And so we have those commonalities. The first runs they started out was Red Lake, White Earth, and Leech Lake, and Fond du Lac. And now we've had, over the years, we've had people run who are Winnebago, Lakota, Dakota, Arizona, like Navajo. It doesn't matter. They're, like people from all over, whether or not they're working in these communities we run through. When you go through the community, it's we're hoping that people are intuitive enough to say, what are they doing? What is that? Why are they running through our community? And why? What's the purpose of this? And they ask questions. Oh, that's that group. They're running. They're trying to raise awareness about the overdoses, and they're trying to raise awareness about clean living and living chemically free. And I'm a proponent of abstinence. I don't believe in anything. Marijuana, alcohol, nothing. I think you should be absolutely 100% clean. And I'm old school like that. Some people aren't. They justify marijuana. Oh, it's natural. It's a plant. It's a medicine. Well, so is willow bark, which is good for pain. It's what aspirin is made of. So it's for thousands of years, our people have said, well, I have ailments and I have pain, and I'm going to use these barks, to help me with my arthritis and my pain. And they use birch. They use different kinds of medicine for all of those things. So marijuana is not the only plant out there. There was hundreds of other plants that do even, do amazing things for the body. So I would expand upon that and learn more about more of our traditional medicines. And so the ideally, the being based in reality that some of these things are being used for good things. They do serve their purpose. But the overall in recovery, like back in the day, we were told, don't go around sacred items if you're high, or don't go around a drum when you're drinking, or just have respect. My mom used to tell me that, don't go around over there. Don't go around over there if you're all boozed up or stoned or something. Have some respect. Don't go around those. It's okay if you're if you're not using anything, that's fine. So we try to encourage anybody to participate in the run. Just don't participate if you're smoking weed that day or something, because those eagle feathers again, just to make sure that those you smudge yourself down. You smudge yourself down, you should be good. Then you can run, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to be in recovery. You don't have to be, just on that particular day. You're in a good way, and you're out there, so when you go through these communities, we're hoping to spread the message. That hey, there is a clean way of living. There is a better way of life, and look at these people. Look at those young kids running by. Man, that's cool. Look at them. It's just so we're trying to pass that teaching on as well.
I want to ask about, so kind of on the topic of using something. And so, like, if, on the topic of pain and strength, okay? So, if somebody, so in the pain that you feel physically as you run, right? So there's, to a certain extent, at a certain point, you're probably going to feel pain along the
Yep.
run, right?
Yeah.
And is there a healing aspect of enduring that pain? Like, does that strengthen someone in a way to that could be applied, to heal a different pain or to be better equipped to deal with a different pain? Like, is there something to that?
Yeah. One of the things that's really fascinating about a 4-day run, you have a goal. It's on day 4, the evening of the last day. And so that first day, everybody wants to run. And it's like, hey, you guys, kind of pace yourself, and well, I'm running, and you might see like 7, 8 kids all running together, and they're just really hauling butt, and you goes, hey, we're gonna need some of that energy at the end of the day, guys. I'm running, so they run, which is cool. They're young, and they're feeling it. They're pumped. I imagine their adrenaline is high. They're feeling good. They're feeling the moment. And so and that's good. So that evening, even at one time, we got to Cass Lake and we're having a feast, and these kids ran all day, and there they are, some girls chasing these boys around and stuff, and there we are, all exhausted, sitting there, trying to eat and rub some ointment on our knees and stuff, and then there's all these young kids running back and forth. I said, hey, slow down, geez, you got to run tomorrow. And this girl says, never. It's just like, oh, the beauty of youth. And then, but the next day, they're like, I don't want to run. You run. No, I don't want to run. So they're physically, they're feeling it. And then, so day 3 comes and goes. And then on that last day, they can't feel it anymore. I mean, they're like, hey, we're only 20 miles away from our goal. And they're just like, bang, they're back, and it's just like so mentally, the mind-body connection, it's like they don't feel the pain anymore. They're feeling good. They're feeling positive. They know that there's going to be this huge climactic ending, and they've built relationships along the way with kids they probably didn't even know, or we met people that we didn't know, adults, and so it's just an overall good feeling. But yeah, I would say train smart. If you run, just listen to your body, but definitely can overcome other ailments that you have, because the body physiologically, a lot of times we don't even realize that we might be out of balance. Your hips are out a little bit, or you got a crick in your back that's causing you to be off a little bit. And running is miraculous, or walking even, because a lot of times that will correct it. It's like, so you might be, oh man, I've been having this problem with my leg and my calf, but then you go out and you start a running routine and gradually build into it. And then the body has a miraculous way of just adjusting itself. And then those ailments you get stronger, the connective tissue, your heart for sure, your circulatory system, you start to think clearer, things become more vivid. And then just the sheer strength of it, you over a while, you start to feel stronger, and you're like, man, I ran 3 miles, and, I could have ran a couple more, and I remember my running teacher, his name is Pete Netto. Some people might be familiar with Pete Netto. Back in the 90s, he would give me these, hey, you got to take a day off. If you run too much, you're going to hurt yourself. And I got this pair of shoes, brand new pair of Asics, and I was like, oh man, and it was on my rest day. And I got home and I'm like, maybe I'll just do a mile just to break them in. I was like trying to find ways to cheat, and because I was caught the running bug, and it's dark. I live in West End, so looked outside and I was like, trying them on, and I was like, I'll just do a mile. So I ran from my house, which is by the Catholic cemetery, down to the Y, the stop sign. which is half a mile. So I just kind of jogged down there. Oh man, these shoes felt good. And I was like, oh man, on the way back, I'll just kind of, and it's dark out, so I'm running. And I could see down in the corner, I'm getting close to my driveway, I could see some headlights hitting the woods off to the right of me. And I'm like, oh man, there's a car coming. So you play these little games in your head. Well, I'm going to race to the driveway before the car comes around the corner. So there I am, take off in this sprint. And I go in my driveway, and the car is just now coming around that corner. So I actually beat it. And in my mind, like, oh, there, hey, I did it. So the next morning, I worked with Pete. And he was kind of coaching me. And he said, so what'd you do last night? I said, nothing. It's kind of chilled, hung around the house. Did you run? No running. Rest day, remember? Sure you did. I said, no, I didn't. He said, sure you did. I know you're running. I said, well, how do you know that? He said, well, I was coming around a corner last night in West End there, and I couldn't see anything, and I saw these two little dots going ding, 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 ding in your driveway. And I said, two little dots. See, I didn't know that the shoes that I had reflectors on them. So they had two little reflectors on the back heel. And then after I looked at it, I said, man, yeah, you busted, So, yeah, there's resting and just taking care of your body, listening to your body. If anything hurts, don't run. But if you're sore, that's a good thing. It's a good sore.
Well, so August 2nd through the 5th, right?
Yeah.
August 2nd through the 5th. So that is the Spirit Run this year, 2023. So like Buck says, do a little running, do a little resting.
Yeah.
And thanks for joining us today.
Hold up. Buck.
Yeah.
Where does it start at, Buck?
From what I understand, they're going to start at the Powell Grounds in Red Lake. And generally, they go like 45 miles first day to the Leech Lake. Like I said, again, they take the same route, go through Bemidji. And again, it never changes. People look at you like you're from Mars. What are these people doing? This is affecting my life. Don't they know I got kids to feed? So you see these Indians going through town, and that's good. At one time, a cop came and try to force us onto the sidewalk, and then one of the senior runners, Bob Morrison, start talking with them, and then see what we do is beforehand even call the city and let the city know, hey, we're going to be coming through there. Can you give us an escort through town? A couple times they did. Other times they just, So I imagine it just gets lost right there at whoever you're speaking to, but. Yeah, it'll run to the Leech Lake Veterans Memorial Powell Grounds, and then that's on Wednesday. Thursday starts off there again, and you run right through the communities where the like track and areas with the highest possible visibility you can get. Like you want people to know the run is there, and so then on to Grand Rapids, and that's the longest stretch from Cass Lake to Grand Rapids. Then camp out. Some people stay in a room and just kind of hang out and swim and do whatever. Then the last one is, or the third one is from Grand Rapids to Floodwood. And then the last day from Floodwood to Mishkawassin. So those
Is that Fond du Lac? Is Mishkawassin?
yeah, that's the Fond du Lac Reservation. Mishkawassi, it's a strength. And their motto is be strong enough to accept our help. Because a lot of times people are afraid. They're like, well, I want to do something, but when they're drunk or squaby or whatever, they always say they want to do something, but then when they sober up, they don't do it, There's always some circumstance eventually that drives us. I know for me, I'd multiple times trying to find recovery, until finally a jail cell forced me to go to treatment. And there's always some circumstance or a judge or something, but be strong enough to accept our help, and that's the motto. We're here to help you. It's like chemical health programs, same thing. We're here to help you, but it requires strength. It requires strength because your strength is going to help you to overcome this.
So We're at Izhatwaawin Studios in Redby. We just had an awesome interview with Floyd Buck Jourdain, Courtney Barrett and I, Alexander Aman. We're signing off. Thanks for joining us again for the Izhatwaawin podcast.
Thank you, Buck.
Oh, miigwech. Thanks for
coming,
having me,
Buck.
guys.
Miigwech.